I haven't made a video in a while. I wanted to, but the truth is, this emerging ecosystem of web and mobile application development in the context of AI has left me feeling a little bit lost. Flutterflow as a platform has been instrumental in giving me guide rails and direction in app development. But Flutterflow as a company has the difficult task now of integrating itself into a very AI first narrative that is starting to completely saturate the tech industry. And the Flutterflow team is amazing. I've been chatting to them briefly earlier this month, and they are working really hard. But to be totally honest, Flutterflow has been glitchy lately, and that's kind of a bad time for that to be happening just as their pretty unpopular pricing update is dropping. So at the same time that the friction of using Flutterflow feels like it's increasing a little bit, the popularity of AI tools for app development and coding are absolutely exploding. I wholeheartedly stand by my hatred of the term vibe coding, and I will be continuing to use Flutterflow. But all the same, all of this has me rethinking the question, if you are not a traditionally trained software developer, or even if you are, what is the right path in 2025 to build a web or a mobile application? And I mean a real app, not some dumpster fire proof of concept. And what aspects of app development can you realistically learn how to do in a reasonable amount of time with something like AI or a no-code tool? And what aspects do you absolutely need to hire a professional software engineer to do? As someone who works with clients who are overwhelmingly not programmers, but who want to create an application, especially mobile apps, I routinely encounter people who had no idea what they were signing up for when they started on this journey. Building a profitable business around something like a mobile application is something that a one-shot AI prompt is never going to be able to do until the AI can read minds. And even that might be slightly delayed because some people are hesitating the idea of giving Elon Musk access to plant advertisements directly in our brains. But either way, creating value in the digital space is not about writing code, but it does require code to exist and be running in the right places, whether that code was written by you or by an AI or by a third-party service provider. If you're in the process of creating a web or a mobile application, the components that you need to create that application might be things like the front-end app bundle, the database, application layer, authentication system, build pipeline, and so on. Flutterflow and other low-code and no-code tools initially make you feel like they've got your back when it comes to managing all of these services for you. But as you get into the platform, you start to understand that most of what is actually happening is just the interconnection of a myriad of external services that Flutterflow is just creating a proxy for. And there's a lot of stuff that Flutterflow can't do around those ecosystems, so it actually ends up just explaining how to do it for you, and then it adds a couple of convenience wrappers. So when you think about it in those terms, it might be more helpful to think of your whole application stack as discrete services all working in harmony. You could use words like modularization or even microservices to describe this. And so I think that the way to create a successful and scalable app in 2025 is by understanding how to orchestrate your services, rather than trying to convince an AI to ineptly reinvent the wheel for each one. As the example, let's look at the structure of a regular Flutterflow app. If we use Flutterflow, we can do things like spin up push notifications via Firebase Cloud Messaging, create an Agolia search, talk to Supabase, authenticate with Firebase Auth, run workflows with something like N8N or BuildShip, connect to RevenueCat or Stripe for payments, extract analytics, run custom Python or JavaScript code, even run whole AI workflows via OpenAI or Gemini. That's a huge number of services already, and your app will probably have many more, but each has a very specific job that's easy to understand in isolation. If we tried to code this whole architecture from scratch, even with something like the Opus 4 model, it would gracelessly fail, and then it would try to gaslight you into thinking that its code is anything more than a dumpster fire of bad decisions. Even interconnecting existing services themselves can be a lot to ask of an AI coding assistant. If you think of the architecture as a system of connected services, then the application itself, like the Flutter app or the React app or whatever it is just one of those services. what I like to refer to as a dumb front end. Unless you're creating a game or a highly immersive experience with your mobile application, most of what your app is probably just a bunch of displayed data, pretty buttons, layouts, and all of that serves as the interface for all of your carefully orchestrated tools that actually live in the cloud. This front-end interface lives outside of the security fence. As a rule, it never sees any kinds of secret keys or credentials. That way you solve the problem of AI code doing stupid security things and leaving your app totally exposed to being hacked. So now your job as an app developer becomes less about writing code and more about orchestrating all of these services. And this way, when something in your app invariably breaks, which it always does, it'll be immediately clear where in your app's architecture the problem is. To use another example, let's say that you go with Lovable. Lovable, again, feels like it's all you need. You smash in a prompt and it spits out an app. But Lovable immediately offers to connect you to Supabase, which already means that you're an orchestrator of external services, except here, you're also handing off a lot of control to a black box inside of a platform that already, to be honest, has a track record of lighting security dumpster fires. And now you're in this weird limbo in terms of service orchestration, where Lovable is kind of handling the connections between the services like Supabase, but you're not actually sure that it's doing it right or whether it's leaking your private credentials all over the web. If you take back control of the links between these disparate services, your app will be secure because you'll know exactly how it works, you'll know how to fix it when it breaks, and you'll know how to add new features as time goes by. This still doesn't mean that you need to know how to code. Once you have the hang of the concept of orchestrating your services, then you can actually just use AI to fill in the gaps. The AI coding assistant that I'm using right now is called Claude Code. This week, I deployed a native iOS and Android app without writing a single line of code. But even better, I can actually use AI to give me things like SQL snippets for Supabase. I can get terminal commands to help me deploy things to Google Cloud Platform. I can get architecture advice, and I can have it do research on the best practices to help me implement and oversee all of these orchestration efforts. And if tomorrow some other tool drops that makes Claude Code or Flutterflow obsolete, or there's a new analytics engine that I want to swap out for the one that I have, I can just do that because I know all of the different components of the system. And that way I don't have to rewrite the whole application just because I wanted to change one small component of it. Understand how to orchestrate all of your services and how the APIs link them together. And then you really don't have any limits on what you can build. Now, I am pretty sure that we are not on the verge of another big breakthrough in LLM capability, and not at least in the way that we've been seeing. But I do think that what we are about to see is an absolute explosion in the tooling around the AI models that we currently have. With AI coding, there are some really super promising and totally free tools that are starting to change my mind about the feasibility of AI coding. This isn't vibe coding, but it is an evolution of that concept. So I do wonder, what will the role of no-code and low-code tools like Flutterflow be in all of this? I don't think that they'll disappear, but I'm really not sure what the landscape is going to look like in 2 years. What does seem increasingly clear to me, though, is that betting on one technology or one platform is becoming increasingly risky. I think maybe that rather than gathering around one tool like Flutterflow or Claude Code or Lovable or something like that, instead we should embrace orchestration and learn how to work directly with the services that make up our system, ready to swap out tools that aren't proving their worth at any given time. And I'd really love to know what you think about this, because I'm still very much in brainstorming mode here. Will you be using Flutterflow or a similar platform for your projects moving forward? Are you thinking seriously about prioritizing AI to write code, or do you have a different approach in mind? Please do drop a comment below and tell me your plans for your current apps. Subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one.